If you're struggling to get an Airbnb, then the problem is what you're saying on the phone. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna share with you 2 statements that you can make that'll absolutely change the game to get a landlord to say, let's work together, versus going with a traditional long-term tenant. But first, let me share with you a quick story, because maybe you are somebody working a 9 to 5, or maybe you're an entrepreneur in heart, but you've just never got an opportunity to have your own separate business. How would you like to know that you can work very few hours if you do this right, and be your own boss, and actually have a place where you can say, this is my Airbnb, and actually be a host of it? But better yet, you and your family could actually block off the calendar and stay in your own Airbnbs instead of paying for travel when you guys go out to other places. How cool is this? My name is Investor Mike. I've been doing this for about 8.5 years. I'm the #1 coach right now in America, and I will tell you, 7 years ago, I didn't know anything about anything. And transparently, when I got into the game, I got an apartment because nobody told me whether to go single family houses or apartments. They just said, go rent a place. So I rented an apartment. Well, that only lasted about 4 months before I had a young lady by the name of Sarah knocking on the door. And she said, Mike, we're not doing this. There's an HOA community here in this apartment complex, and you're out. And I thought, at that point in time, I thought it was too easy to be true. And so literally furnished a place, had the place completely ready, got it on, and wasted about 3 or 4 months of my life to find out that I was in an area that I could not even do it legally. So we got out of the place. 7 years later, today, we're picking up 4 to 5, 6 units at a time in apartment complexes. But I don't want to teach you that type of corporate leasing yet. What I'm going to talk about in this video is, what do we say on the phone? And I'm also going to share with you 3 things I wish I would have known better about. I wish I would have known. This is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money by giving you these 3 things that are going to really help you propel yourself. First, to get a landlord to say yes, and then some certain things that you need to do inside your Airbnb before even launching. That being said, let me share with you 2 things from the psychology of a landlord. Landlord purchased a property. They want to use their property as an asset for their retirement. Your job is to learn the psychology of a homeowner and say, what could I say to this homeowner that would allow them to let me take corporate leasing or Airbnbers and these short-term rentals in the property, versus why don't they just go with a traditional tenant where they're going to run a background check all the financials, and make sure they check your credit score and XYZ. We don't get any of that. You see, what you have to learn is the reason that landlords are renting their property in the first place, and attack the ones that are in pain in a good way. What I mean by that is, on Zillow, you can actually filter by properties that have been listed for more than 36 months. The reason for that is, think about a property that's been lasted, let's say it's on Zillow for 6 months. If a landlord has had a property for 6 months, they're paying the mortgage, they're paying taxes, they're paying insurance, they're paying electric. They are bleeding and they are desperate to rent. And all once, you come to them with my script and say, listen, here's what we do. Here's how we can solve your problem. Instantly, landlords are going to be reaching out to you because they are in pain already from bleeding out financially, and you've solved their problem. So let's talk about the 2 things you can say on a phone call, because just because you send out my email/script to these landlords doesn't mean that the property, first, makes sense financially, but 2, doesn't mean you don't have to get on the phone later to close the deal. So they're going to ask for a phone call back once you reach out to them and tell them what we do, with a document that I'm going to give you inside the description box. And if that's not worth a thumbs up and a subscribe, then I don't know what is, because I'm going to give you the actual script where landlords will be eating out of your hand to work with you. And if you want that, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Share this with somebody you love as well, who may be trying to get into Airbnb business, because I'm the best in the game, guys. Okay, number 1, what do we want to ask? There's 2 statements that are very important. Pay close attention. The first statement that you want to say to a landlord is this: Mr. Landlord, we are a corporate leasing company. Now, why did I not say Airbnb? The reason you don't want to pitch Airbnb on the very first call is because of the negative stigma that Airbnb has based on the news. ABC, Fox, NBC, and all these different news channels have put Airbnb to make it believe that it's this big party town and people are going to go in and do drugs and trash your place. That could not be further from the truth, especially if you know how to filter the right high caliber people, like I teach my students. That being said, you say corporate leasing company. The minute they hear Airbnb on the first call, they're already turned. They're not listening to anything else you said. As sad as that is, they're not. So what we want to do is, we are a corporate leasing company. We have travel nurses, doctors, chiropractors, business professionals. Sometimes they stay for 2 to 3 days. Sometimes they stay for 2 to 3 months. What did I just tell a landlord there? Short term and mid term. Now, Mr. Landlord, this is the next most important thing. I'm going to give you number 2, and that statement is this: we are going to keep your property in for sale condition. Why is this important? Because landlord has bought this asset for their retirement, and a traditional tenant typically doesn't care about the property. You'll get some good tenants here and there, but sometimes landlords end up costing a lot of money on renovation and turnover, and that's the biggest cost to a landlord, is when a regular tenant leaves after 2 years, they do change the flooring, they're fixing the walls, they're painting the different walls, they're fixing the holes, right? Everything has to be renovated. With us, we're going to keep your property in for sale condition. Very, very strong words that you will use on this call. So, Mr. Landlord, we're a corporate leasing company. We welcome in travel nurses, doctors, chiropractors, business professionals. Sometimes they stay for 2 to 3 days. Sometimes they stay for 2 to 3 months. Now, I'm telling them a short term and a midterm. They're agreeing. We are also going to keep your property in for sale condition the entire lease. So if you decide to sell it at any point, you don't have to worry about it. It is already there. We're not going to dig our heels in and you have to worry about eviction because we don't live in the property. We would walk away. Now, what else do? We have our professional maintenance crew and our cleaning crew that comes in once a week. So the cleaning crew comes in once a week to deep clean the property. I'm instantly telling them that our property is going to stay immaculate the whole time. The maintenance crew that comes in this is a bonus. You can say something like, we handle all the small minor maintenance on the property the entire lease. Now you tell me what traditional tenant is going to handle all the minor maintenance. They'll call the landlord if a light bulb goes out. We don't. Also, what traditional tenant do you know that's going to keep the property in for sale condition the entire lease? None. So now we have a corporation, which sounds fancy, right? Sounds like we got money. 2, we're already telling them it's a short and a midterm rental by saying they stay for 2 to 3 days or sometimes 2 to 3 months, depending on the clientele, right? Typically our travel nurses will stay longer, or people that are going through surgery, right? Maybe we need some patients. They're going to be a little bit, in that 2 to 3 week period. And now we've told them we're going to keep their asset in for sale condition the entire lease. Guys, if you're saying this on a phone call, you're not pitching Airbnb, then after you've built the relationship with them and they say, cool, I like to work together, then we're going to send them an addendum, which is a 1-page document that my students will have. You guys will get it if we work together. And that 1-page document I have my attorneys put together is very, very good to protect us. That basically says to the landlord, look, you understand that we're not going to live in the property, but you're allowing me to put it on short-term rental platforms like Airbnb, vrbo, bookings.com, right? Marriott Home Villas, etc., right? Flipkey. So now they've agreed to it in writing, but not on the very first call. This is how you get a landlord on your side very quickly. I close deals 2 to 3 a day right now with my students. 2 to 3 a day we're closing. So that's how we get a landlord to say yes. We check the numbers. Once they say yes, okay, once you send out the script, you want to check the numbers in airdna.co. My students also get that software. I pay $2,000 for the year up front. They also get that. You'll check the numbers there. And then after you check the numbers to make sure that the market grade is good, above 60, goes from 0 to 100. You also want to make sure the occupancy is above 60%, market grade above 70, occupancy above 60%, more than 250 people in that city that are doing Airbnbs, but less than 10,000, and make sure your average daily rate is above $150. If it falls into that category, okay, and the numbers look good because you've taken the revenue and you've divided it by 12, and now we know the monthly, and you've removed $800 for cleaning and expenses, and you've removed and your utilities, and then you removed your rent, and if that number that you come to, taking your traditional, here's what you do. The gross revenue, it's going to tell you on that property once you put the bedrooms and bathrooms in the AirDNA, okay? You took the address, you put it there. It'll have the revenue. Then we divide that number by 12. So now we know what our gross monthly is. Remove $800. That includes cleaning and utilities, and that's about an average. And then you want to remove your rent payment. After that, you've done those calculations. That number should be $1,500 or higher. If it's not, my students, I don't even tell my students to move forward. If it's more than $1,500, we've got a good property in a decent area that we should do well on Airbnb. Okay, so now you guys know the market grade. You know what you should be looking for in the market. You also know how to do the numbers. You also should be looking for properties around hills, hospitals, hotels, and H2O, which means a property with a pool or hot tub. Now, what would I wish that I have known prior? So look, now we've checked the numbers. Now you know what to say on the phone with the landlord, and now we can move forward with what I wish I would have known prior to getting into Airbnb. And I will tell you the smart lock is by far the best decision you ever made. The last thing you want to do is have a regular lock on your door, and then people go in for Airbnb, and then they leave, they go to the beach, they go to the bars, and they come back and they lost their keys and they can't get in at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're calling you and saying, hey, I need you to come by and open up the door. Last thing, smart lock, number 1. Number 2, you should have 2 to 3 pairs of sheets, minimum, because things happen. Spills Spills happen, people eat in the beds, people do you know what else in the beds, and you want to have extra pairs of sheets and linens for every bed. You will thank me later on this one. Also, had I known earlier, I would have went into single family, not apartments first. So I would be looking for a single family house between the $1,700 and $2,500 a month range, single family, and I would have picked areas like Nashville. You know, I would have picked areas like Jackson Beach. I would have picked areas like Savannah, Georgia, Scottsdale, Arizona, Pigeon Forge, Fort Lauderdale. I'm giving you some good markets, guys. If this isn't worth a thumbs up and a subscribe yet, this gave you the game right there, okay? So you guys, listen, this is what I would have done earlier. And I would have known to put a hot tub. All my students put hot tubs in the property. All I do is ask the landlord, listen, would you be opposed to me putting a hot tub? Doesn't require any electrical, doesn't require any plumbing. It plugs in like a hairdryer. Put it in the backyard. We'll remove it when we leave. No, not a problem. Every time. Now, why is this beneficial? Because a hot tub is the number 2 searched amenity in Airbnb. Number 1 is a pool. Can't put a pool there? You got a hot tub. You don't want to dig out a pool. Now, you could do an above ground pool because you can get them for like, $800 to $1,000. Right? We're like a 17 long, 5 feet deep, and we're actually testing that theory as we speak. But for right now, my students are just getting hot tubs for $500 online. You get that, put it in the back, and you can raise your rent somewhere between $20 and $30 per night, which means to me, it is the single best investment you'll make in Airbnb because you will be able to drive your prices up somewhere between $20 and $30, which means it pays the hot tub off in the very first month on average. Game changer, right? So with all this being said, guys, you know what you need to do. Now you know how to talk to landlords. You know why the psychology of what you're saying. And if you'd have done these 3 things before looking at this video, go back through it 100 times if you need to. I really commend you to watch this video right here 20 times, because if you do, you'll have everything you need of what areas to go into, how to talk to landlords, what are some things you need to do inside the property, and you'll know exactly where to start, okay? Get an LLC, get moving, start that process there, and then it's simple about going on Zillow and then filtering properties that have been listed for a long time so the landlords are in pain. Take one of the cities in this video, post it there, start searching for properties around hills, hospitals, hotels, or anything that has a pool or a hot tub at it, and now you know what you need to do once you reach out to the landlord. You reach out to the landlord and you say, we're a corporate leasing company. We have travel nurses, doctors, chiropractors, business first work, and keep your property in for sale condition the entire lease. We have a professional cleaning crew that comes in, a maintenance crew that comes in once a week to make sure we deep clean the property. It's going to be in better condition when we leave than it is right now. And the reason for that is because we deep clean the property consistently. If you ever decide to sell the property, Mr. Landlord's going to be in for sale condition the entire lease. I'm looking for a 2-year lease to show you we're serious. We're ready to put our deposit down now. Can we put together a deal? Now you guys have that right there. If you need any help at all, put the word Airbnb in comments, and Investor Mike will walk you through every step you need to help you along this journey. I'm the best in the game and the only person that goes live on TikTok. You guys can find me there at Investor Mike, and I'll share with you guys some of the secrets there. I'm telling you, listen, I will help you. I want you to win. God bless. Be safe. Let's roll.